that's a wool fiber being a wool fiber. It doesn't really matter as long as you clean it and get the lanolin out. You don't have to worry about smell over time. It naturally does its thing with moisture because of the follicles. And then I'm sure we'll get into more detail, but and then the amino acids are purifying the air as long as they're inside the primary air barrier. And there's nothing else that does that, full stop. So that was the baseline for us wanting to take this raw material, move it to the US, manufacture it here. And frankly, I thought we could just do that and we could tell a few people about it and it would just take off. And boy, was I wrong. I surrounded myself with an advisory board of people who knew the space, consultancy in, green building and net zero, family friend who's third generation custom builder, who told me at the time that it was going to take 10 years for us to gain any traction. And
oh my gosh,
I didn't believe him. And, we've been at it for 8 years and we're starting to get some traction. So he's pretty accurate. But there was a lot of things where, I was deferential to a lot of those folks, out of respect for not only their time in the space, but also, my interest in learning, but an appreciation for the fact that I wasn't in the space, I was coming from somewhere else. And so, what happened to us is we sat around and did a lot of listening. And then we started to realize that, there were some pretty basic questions that no one knew the answer to.
Some of those questions being?
Where does the vapor barrier go? And then
the dew point in the wall.
And literally hearing of somebody say, oh, well, we put it up because it's code, but then we take it down.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. Heard that more than a few times. And so, we're sponges for information. We're interested in helping people, cut through this industry that, I wouldn't say that it tries to not tell the truth, but it certainly has a playbook and a way of doing things.
I spoke to a guy in the spray foam industry and he called it the tribal industry.
Yeah, sure. And once you have a playbook, you're really not going to deviate from it. Yeah. If somebody wants you to deviate, you'll probably deviate from the client as opposed to the way that you're used to doing things. And so it's incredibly hard to affect change. And we found a way to do that, which has been really fun and inspiring. But, before we get into all that stuff, for what was always easy for us to stay the course is a wool fiber and its integrity. And the fact that there literally is nothing else like it,
So but through your ups and downs, that's the one thing y'all came back to.
100%. Never even left it, right? Because you've got this thing that, sheep were domesticated 10,000 years ago. You've got this fiber that's on their back to protect them from all of the elements, warm, cold, wet, dry. And it is so unbelievable in its natural construct, what it's capable of doing. And again, that's when you need to go look at it under a microscope and see the 5 follicles in a coarse wool fiber and see all of the things that just happen naturally because of the way that it is built and the way that it has evolved. So, we applaud these alternative options for insulation because anything is better than fiberglass and spray foam. So, and frankly speaking, wool's not going to take over the entire marketplace on its own, right? We're trying to achieve, 0.5 to 1% market share. We're here to give people the option to buy the best thing you can buy for insulation. And we fully appreciate that that's not for everybody.
Yeah.
And so we just want to help people get educated, understand what they're up against. And what we like to say to everyone is, hey, make an informed decision. We don't really care if you buy wool or not, but know what you're getting into and appreciate that a lot of this stuff is underperforming. And they may be, trying to pull the wool over your eyes.